All right, so Algebra 1, Unit 7, Lesson 16, applying the quadratic formula. So 17.1, no solutions for you. So I think that's a Seinfeld joke there. Here is an example of someone solving the quadratic equation that has no solutions. So let's see. Number 1, study the example. At what point did you realize the equation had no solutions? And number 2, explain how you know the equation 49 plus x squared has no solutions. So I'll go ahead and give you some time on that. So pause the video and try to figure that out. All right, so hopefully you pause the video and basically, yeah, this is, hopefully you noticed on line 2 here, right, you have x plus 3 being squared equaling a negative number. When you square a number, your outcome will never be negative. You know what I mean? And let me rewrite this in general. It's a general rule. Negative squared will never equal a negative number. So when you square a number, you're not going to get a negative, right? And that's what happens here on the second part. So that's when you should realize that there are no solutions. So number 2, explain how you know that 49 plus x squared equals 0. It has no solutions because if you were to get rid of the 49, equal that. And again, that's not a thing. When you square a number, you're not getting a negative, right? So if you had negative 7 squared, negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. So yeah. Okay, so 17.2, the potato and the pumpkin. So I think we're doing some pumpkin chunking and maybe some potato launching. Who knows? All right, so question now becomes, what are we looking at? All right, so the equation of the height and time, h of t, equals negative 16. So there's the gravity, if you will. All right, so that's the gravity. Our velocity is 80. Looks like we're talking about feet in seconds, so 80 feet per second. And then our initial height, and when we start, is 64 feet up in the air. So maybe you're on a hill, rooftop, who knows? All right, so write an equation that can be solved when the potato hits the ground. What is the height of the ground? We're going to go ahead and assume. So I'll go ahead and let you do that. All right, so hopefully you paused it and you tried it, and here we go. If you hadn't, make sure you pause it and try it. So we set this whole equation to equal to 0, and then we just solve. All right, so let's see, find when the potato is 40 feet off the ground. Now, if it's 40 feet off the ground, you just set it equal to 40, and then you just solve. So this is for A, and this is for question B. Okay. And then solve the equation. So there's so many ways we can solve it. Quadratic formula is one of the best ways I would do it. So for 1A, you can solve for your time, and shouldn't use x, I should use t for time. Okay, so negative b, let's see, which is negative 80, plus or minus the square root of negative 80 squared minus 4ac. Be careful with your negatives, okay? And c is 64, right? So that's all being square rooted all over 2a, and a was negative 16. So go ahead and try that, all right? Pause the video before I give you the answers and try to solve this yourself. All right, so hopefully you went through this and you should get some approximations, right? You got negative 0.702 or t equals 5.702. The only real answer that would work is this answer, right? Because time can't be negative, right? So remember the context. All right, B, go ahead and try to solve for B. You should get 2 answers. All right, so solve for that one using quadratic formula. And again, quadratic formula is the x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so try to solve those to get your 2 answers for part B, okay? And 1a is a great example of how to do that. Just know how to use your calculator and how to set things up, and you should be okay. All right, number 2, it's very similar. Is the pumpkin still in the air in 8 seconds? You could plug in or substitute in 8 for t and see if it equals a number that's greater than 0. Okay. If it's greater than 0, it's definitely up in the air. All right. When it hits the ground, well, we could solve for that. So negative 4.9 t squared plus the velocity. You know how I'm rewriting the formula to make sure I don't screw up on what is my a value, what's my b value, and what's my c value when I'm trying to solve for it to be on the ground, which is setting it equal to 0. So use the quadratic formula, and you should get 2 answers. So go ahead and try to find your 2 answers with the quadratic formula. All right, so hopefully you tried. You got this, right? Or you got 4.92. Okay, so that's seconds. The only real answer that would work in the real world is that one. All right, so let's move on. This is really just a discussion situation. So we had this frame a while back, and they basically ask, let's see, what is it? All right, so they give us some dimensions, and I think we did this 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to remember. And what does it tell us about this situation? So let's see. An earlier lesson, so 7 inches by 4 inches. 7 times 4 is 38, right? So 7 across and 4 down. So the whole thing should give you, actually that's not 38, that is, yeah, that's, oof, it's not 7 times 4. The picture is 7 times 4. Wait, the entire sheet of paper is 4 inches by 2.7. So one equation wrote that. Okay, so let's clean this up. Let's go back. Let's see. 2x is a constant, right? So the frame and picture was only 7 inches by, okay, so the inside here is 7 inches. And the height of the picture is 4. So 7 times 4 is 28. And they're telling us that the entire area is 38. And they're saying this is 2x here. So we don't know how much that piece is. And same thing it looks like here, where this is 2x. Okay. Tells us about the situation. All right, so it looks like I've already basically answered that. We know the frame is 2 times whatever the x is, all the way around. Your picture is 4 by 7. Okay. Now, To solve this, we actually need to use the quadratic formula, it looks like. So if you were to do this, you would have to distribute 2x times 2x is 4x squared. The 2x times the 4 is 8x. 7 times 2x is 9x. Let's see. And then if you do this, all right, so let me show you what I'm doing. I want to make sure I write this out for you because there is some density here. I want to start off from the very beginning, all right? I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. I think that's the most responsible thing we can do. Set that equal to 38. Distribute, so 2x times 2x, 4x squared. 2x times 4 is 8x. 2 times 7 is 14x. And then 7 times 4 is the 28, which was the picture. And that was setting equal to the entire area, which was 38. Okay. So subtract the 38, but first let's combine our two middle terms. And that should give us the 22x. Let's subtract the 28 to both sides. And that gives us what, 10? And then let's move over that 10 so we have a quadratic equaling 0. No idea. Could have just subtracted the 38, really. Got the same thing. All right, so use the quadratic formula. You already have your A, you already have your B, you already have your C. All right, so x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And that should give you your answer for part B. Okay. So go ahead and try number 2 if you get number 2. It's very similar to number 1. Definitely want you to try that one on your own. It's a good challenging one right there. All right, have a beautiful day.